Good morning, guys. How are you doing today?
Hi, Marco. I'm doing great. Nice to hear from you again. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So in today's session, we would like to learn a little bit more about the learning environment online. And there are different ways of learning. Some are like LMSs, which we are going to talk about in a bit. And there are other tools to record courses. For example, we have WordPress. Can you tell us a little bit about those two differences between having an entire LMS or just upload courses into a website using WordPress?
That is a great question. We've had that question before with certain prospects, and they would have a website and they would say, oh, we'd like to add some learning to it. So they could, in theory, and in practice, they could upload an H5P or a SCORM to it, but that's very different from having an LMS. You have no data tracking what users are doing. It is very difficult to provide a certificate automatically based on the achievements the users are taking, and it lacks the level of granularity and management that an LMS can offer. So a website has a purpose, and a learning management system has a totally different purpose, and that's why you use the tools that you need for the appropriate requirements.
Okay.
So,
And what LMS do you guys use?
so primarily we use Moodle and Totara. In
Okay,
the
okay.
educational field, we focus mostly on Moodle, and we've done that with school districts across Canada. We've done that with other organizations as well in the educational field, like higher education. But we also seen that some nonprofits or smaller organizations could benefit from using Moodle. And we also we are a Totara partner, so we provide that service to larger organizations as well.
Can you please provide a brief overview of Markanix and your role within the company?
Of course. So Markanix is an Alberta-based company in Canada, and we are an edtech company. So essentially, what we do is we provide learning management systems to our clients. Our clients range from educational institutions, as I mentioned, to nonprofits or corporates as well. And we have worked with different clients from different backgrounds. So we're industry agnostic, if you will. We have clients in the healthcare sector, in the government, oil and gas, or energy, and so it's a very broad spectrum. What do I do at Markanix? So
Yeah.
I'm the CEO, and I have a technical background. So my background is in computer system engineering. So I tend to be involved in some technical aspects of the company, especially bigger projects or when there are needs for me to poke around, I get involved. But recently, it's been mostly management and working on public relations or partnerships and webinars like this one or podcasts like this one.
So, guys, how does Markanix utilize Moodle in its educational offerings? And can you provide probably some examples of the type of courses or subjects taught through Moodle?
So there are a lot of subjects. As I mentioned, we work with different clients from different backgrounds, but I will focus a little bit more on education. And in that regard, I can tell you about the STEM, for example. So especially in school districts, so you have all these science, math, and the subjects basically that are taught when you're in high school, and there isn't really a limit to what you can use or what you can teach through the use of Moodle, because we've seen that also in higher education, where you can use it for subjects that are more closer to the arts, and even sometimes music teaching can go through Moodle. So everything is possible, really. And one of the things that we like about using Moodle is that we can configure it the way we want. or the way the clients want. So if
I
you
was going to ask you that. Why do you think schools choose Moodle for organizing their like
yes,
educational institution?
I knew you were going to ask that. I kind of read your mind. So the reason is, well, there are a few reasons. So one of the things, it's open source, which
Okay.
means it is highly customizable. And that's one of the reasons we like it personally, or as a company, is because we can access the code, we can build on top of it, we can build plugins, and we could basically make it do whatever we need. So in the past, and even more recently, we've used it as a framework. So we've used the
Mhm,
Moodle core to build plugins and build solutions that don't necessarily need to have any relation with education, but they
mhm.
serve a specific purpose within the educational realm. So that is one of the reasons that people choose Moodle, because it's open source, so you can customize it. It is also relatively affordable because it's free. So the cost that you're
Very.
paying is the hosting and the time learned to manage the hosting and manage the infrastructure of it.
Okay, okay. So, what is a plugin? Because this is going to be the first chapter of these recordings, these videos that we're going to do, and I want people who have no idea of what an LMS is, what a plugin is, like to understand it. Can you probably exemplify what those two are?
Yes, so thank you. I tend to speak a language that is closer to the technical side of things, and I forget myself that sometimes we're talking to an audience that is not necessarily familiar with those terms. So the learning management system is the platform or the system that you use to provide your learners the the courses and everything that goes with it. So it's a virtual school, if you will, because it manages the students, it manages the grades and the teachers, and everything goes in there. So what is a
Okay.
plugin? In general, a plugin is something that is added on top of a solution. So if we're making an analogy, for example,
Mm-hmm,
it could be something as a like a peripheral to your
mm-hmm.
device. So I have a computer in front of me, and then I have a mouse. I don't know if you can see it. So this
Yeah,
is a mouse,
there it is.
right? So it's additional. I can use the keyboard. It's a laptop here, but having the mouse, I plugged it in, and then I started playing with the mouse. So that's where the plugin comes from. Maybe an
Uh-huh.
example of a plugin in the context of Moodle could help. So you could have a plugin that eases certain things or changes the theme, which is why we have theme plugins. So
Mm-hmm.
from the blank or basic Moodle theme, we could add a plugin, and then it becomes more colorful. It gives the buttons a different styling, and that's why you have certain Moodles looking different from the basic plain Jane Moodle.
I have a different analogy to explain what a plugin is and Poodle, Poodle.
Yes,
and
yes.
and and Moodle, because people not normal people like who are not really involved in this, like they just get lost. So my analogy is Moodle is like Windows.
Mhm.
It's a system. Windows is an operating system, but an LMS is a learning management system. So we have the system, and the plugins are like the software, the programs. So we have Office, we have Adobe, and without those software, you wouldn't really much do too many tasks on Windows. Having the right software enables people to achieve the goals, their learning goals in this case. So that's my analogy.
I think it's a very good analogy because essentially the software you mentioned extend the functionality of the
Yes.
main system, and that's what a plugin does. It gives you more features to serve more purpose.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about the reasons behind you guys choosing Poodle, like to integrate it um in your offers.
Of course. So I've been a fan of Poodle for a little while, and the reason is obvious. Really, is because it's a good product. It allows language teaching, and as you know, I think we've discussed it before. I love languages as a person, but
Mm-hmm.
also our clients teach languages. So the school districts and the high schools, they teach languages, and Canada is a bilingual country, and we are a bilingual company. So we have clients that are French immersion schools, or we have clients that are English schools, but they teach French, or they would be teaching other languages as well. So how do we take that to the LMS, right?
Mm-hmm.
There aren't a lot of tools out there that are as efficient or as good as Poodle. So the choice was for us was not difficult. And why do we partner with Poodle, or why do we partner with any company in general? What
Mm-hmm.
we look for is a good product, and we look for a product that will solve problems for our clients. So for us, it
Definitely.
was a no-brainer. And if we can still do that and save our clients an amount on the cost they have,
Mm-hmm.
that's perfect for us. That's our main objective.
Okay. And can you probably expand a little bit more on what specific ways you guys use Poodle in Moodle?
Of course, yes. So because you are teaching kids mostly a new language, you want them to be able to do certain exercises. So you want
Mm-hmm.
them to be doing the reading, the speaking, and when they do that, and also the writing, of course. So when they do that, you have a teacher that has to put a lot of preparation into the work, and then they would be grading. So one of the things I personally like with Poodle is that some of the activities, or a lot of the activities actually, are automatically graded. So if you set them up once and then define your leniency in terms of grading, make difficult or hard for the students, then it's all taken care of automatically. And I will give an example here for people who don't know. They would have to look at it, but it's the read aloud activity of Poodle, and
Yeah.
I really like that one because you have different steps. You have a text that is read for you, and then you have to practice, and then you have to sort of shadow practice, and you have to read it, and then as you read it, or as you see it being read, you have the text that is highlighted in yellow, and then you have to read yourself, and then it tells you if you missed a letter, a word or a letter, or if you mispronounced it, you know, because it shows out there. I think that's a very good tool for both teachers and students, because if you can also save time for your teachers, then they could focus on other things, and they could maybe make more time for one-on-one with students instead of grading every student manually.
Okay. What have you heard of the your clients' usage of Poodle, like with your contacts?
So generally, when we hear about students, it's
Mm-hmm.
something bad. So we'll hear about students when they can't access the site, or they can't access their activity, or they have something like that. So nothing has been reported from that side regarding Poodle. So I think
That's good.
most of them like it. That is good. That is good. So we
Uh-huh.
generally hear about something when it's bad, and the general feedback that we get from the administrators or the school administrator is that it's working and they're happy with it, and the teachers are they're happy because it saves them time, and the kids are taking pleasure with the activities. So um, no,
Okay.
it's a kind of a no news, good news situation when it comes to the kids.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I I know the feeling. Can you discuss any initial concerns or doubts Markanix had before integrating Poodle and how those concerns were addressed or overcome? Do you remember any?
Nothing major, really. The one thing we were interested in knowing and made sure that it wouldn't be a problem is that it is HTML5
Mhm.
compatible. Because a little bit of history here. A few years back, we had a similar product in the mother company of Markanix that gave birth to Markanix. We had a product called the Language Lab, and it was great. But the problem, it was built with Flash, and as you
Hmm.
know, Flash is not around anymore. So we
Right.
had a little bit of difficulty getting it upgraded to HTML5. So the project took some time, and then at the end of the day, we didn't end up upgrading. And then Poodle was there at the same time, and Poodle upgraded to HTML5. So that solved the problem, and that was the main concern. But we've had clients use it even before,
Mhm.
and we've seen the product. We know that it works, it is good. So as long as we made sure that it was HTML5 and not Flash, that was a no-brainer for us.
Poodle, empowering teachers and transforming language learning. Get started today.